will tell you we're doing a little bit of a hybrid market update tonight because we're still working on one of the markets to finish their reporting. So this is going to be, some of this is going to be June numbers and some of this is going to be July numbers as we go through. So last month for the roll up for Texas, and this is going to be the June numbers, so next Tuesday we'll have all the numbers, but the average sales price in June was up 13%, so increase in sales price to $441,000. The number of closed sales last month in June was down 9.5%. And one of the biggest changes that we've noticed as well is the number of active listings. So they are now over or around 71,000. They were up 20,000 listings in all of Texas just versus last month. And they were up, about 22,000 listings versus where we were this same time last year. Why is that phenomena occurring? Because the children, the buyers, have gotten upset with the interest rate increases and have taken their down payment, and are walking off of the playground to go and pout about it until they want to get back in the market. So I think over the next few months, we'll continue to see those average prices continue to increase, even though we are in an increasing interest rate environment, partially because of the number in the middle, which is that months of inventory number. That months of inventory number is still about 2 months of inventory. Now, as we finalize all of the July numbers, my guess is that number is probably going to jump up closer to 3 months of inventory. Now, they say they say a balanced market is about a 6-month supply of inventory. So anything below that, more or less a seller's market. Anything above that, more or less a buyer's market. Now, I will say, I think that 6 months, even though that's the 40-year average in terms of inventory here in Texas, I think that is slightly outdated just because 40 years ago we didn't have the use of technology or the use of data in the same way that we do today. So my guess is that a balanced market would probably be closer to 4, maybe 5 months of inventory, just because of how we can use technology today and how builders can plan in terms of what they are putting out in the marketplace. But we're getting, we're doing some big increases in inventory. And the months of inventory number, when inventory is starting to go up and when buyer demand is starting to go down, months of inventory can be a little deceiving from the standpoint of it's looking at the total number of sales over the last 12 months. And I think when we're in a market where we're seeing month after month after month of a decrease in sales of 10 to, in some markets, even up to almost 30%, that we should be shortening the number of sales periods that we look at when we're calculating those months of inventory. Now, I don't think the National Association of Realtors or any of the MLSs are going to make a change as a result of that, but that is something that you do need to consider and be aware of, because we are in a rapidly changing environment right now. In the Austin market, and this is where I have the June data and I have some early July data in the purple box on the side for those of you guys who are watching in person or on YouTube. The average sales price in Austin last month up 13% to $669,000, even though the total close volume was down 20%. And that's primarily because there's still such little inventory in that Austin market. Pending sales, which are our closest leading indicator of what closed sales will be next month, down significantly. So from 4,400 the same time last year to about 2,900. And our active listings, the inventory in Austin went up over 200% year over year, which is a number that you've never seen mentioned in any real estate market, probably not even going back to like the 2008, 9, 10 time frame as well. But if you'll notice, their close price to the original list price is still, in June, it was 102.3%. In July, so I saw some of the early numbers for this, it's closer to 98 to 99%. So you are seeing some pull down off of that. And then the early July sales for the Austin market down 29.5%. But again, you're still seeing those average prices go up, because even though sales are going down, there's still little inventory, right? And even though inventory is going up, It's going to take a while before we kind of hit that equilibrium, but that is some changes that we're seeing. In San Antonio, so this is the July data, average price up 12% to $389,000. And months of inventory right now in San Antonio at about 2.3 months, but closed sales last month were down. They were down 15%. I really needed to take a drink after, as I think about it. Let's see here. I really need to take a drink after this slide. This is vodka. This is Noon. Anyone else drink Noon? Electrolytes? Nobody? Nobody? It just keeps you so hydrated. It's fantastic. And I'm electrolyte full. So, but yeah, I should have taken the drink there because sales down 29.5%. That is huge in a 1 month variation. San Antonio down 15%, but pending sales, closing indicator of what closed sales will be as we close out August, down from 3,200 to about 2,900. San Antonio, I think, is going to have a softer landing when it comes to both the sales volume as well as continuing to have a longer period stretch of increase in prices, just because the San Antonio market is still probably the most affordable. Bexar County is probably still the most affordable large market here in Texas. So people will still be coming to that market. Last month as well, leases were up. We saw an 8% increase in the number of leases. So again, you see buyers who were previously interested in buying now moving into the lease market. We're seeing that go up, and we're seeing leases increase by 11%. In the Dallas and Fort Worth market, the average price was $513,500, up 15% from where we were in July of 2021. At the same time, sales were down 14%. Pending sales down 15%. So I'm thinking that last half of the year, we're going to see down about 15%. The people who are not affected by the interest rate increases are the cash buyers, right? And there are a lot of sellers who are being very creative right now in terms of offering to buy down points. And as the interest rates are increasing, lenders are also becoming much more creative in terms of you're seeing some adjustable rates out there again, which we have not seen in quite a while, to be able to get that lower interest rate and that lower initial interest rate and that lower payment. But leases were up last month in Dallas, up 21%, and the lease price was up 10%. The average lease right now in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, just over or just under 2,650. Now, for the Houston market saw an average price increase to $426,500, up 10%. So the Houston market is much more affordable than the Dallas market, and they're very similar in terms of workforce. When people are trying to decide where they want to go and where they want to live, people are going to look at this and probably say, hey, let's if the options are the same, let's go to Houston where the houses might be a little bit more affordable. Last month, closed sales were down. They were down 17%, and months of inventory at 2.5 months of inventory. Pending sales down 12.5%. So that looks like as we go into, as we finish out August, we'll probably see a reduction in the number of sales in August year over year as well, because the way that we finished 2021 with those very low interest rates and people still kind of moving as a result of everything that's going on in the world, a lot of those sales and a lot of those moves are starting to dry up because they're just not as they're not as good as options as they used to be. Now in the Houston market, and they haven't published the July numbers yet for leases, but for the June lease data, leases were up. The total number of houses that were leased in Houston up 25%. Again, this idea of people moving out of becoming potential buyers and into becoming renters or staying renters increased 25%, and the lease price up 11%. So does that give you an idea of what's happening in the market right now? So I think a lot of people, when they see these interest rate increases, they immediately think, there's going to be immediate repercussion in terms of prices, and that's not the case because we don't see those price changes until inventory gets back in line. And I think we are much closer than we've ever been in terms of inventory getting in line with buyer demand. But the way that the housing markets are going to be reporting it, probably over the next 3 to 6 months, and when it comes to months of inventory, is going to be off from what it actually is. Again, because they're focused on that full 12 months of data of buyer demand instead of the more current and what it is today and what it's going to be in the future. So don't rely as much on months of inventory right now as you normally would. Instead, look at those pending sales and look at those active listings to be able to kind of use those as more predicting factors.